Nita, thanks for sitting down with me today.
Thank you so much for asking. I'm
Yeah,
always happy to talk about good vibes. So
absolutely, and spreading them around, right?
yeah,
We got it's a good vibe type of day with the Bluebird Day, and so this is you're part of the Columbus Way. This is I sit down, do what I call business highlights, and talk with entrepreneurs and local businesses, and just help spread the what people are doing, the good things they're doing. So, I understand that you've written this book, "Depression Hates a Moving Target."
that is correct.
For people that are totally not familiar whatsoever with your book, what is your book about? Your words.
I thought I was writing about a middle-aged woman, running these long races and becoming fit and active. But what I actually found out as I was writing the book was I was writing about a woman who was trying to save her life, and that was actually the story. So there's a whole mental health thread of my paranoia and the depression recurring and kind of how I used exercise to manage those symptoms. It's my story of falling into a very deep depression. I had been chronically depressed for many years, but in 2007, a whole bunch of people I loved and a cat died. And so my already chronic depression just spiraled into this grief blanket that I couldn't get off the couch half the time. And one day I saw a social media post from a high school friend of mine, and she said, "Call me crazy, but this running is getting to be fun." And my first thought was, she's joking, right? Because I had run when I was much, much younger, and it wasn't fun. And so I followed her for a while, and she's doing an interval training plan. And one day I looked up the plan and thought, well, it says 60 seconds of jogging. So I picked up a digital kitchen timer, one of those little square white plastic ones.
Yeah.
Set it for 60 seconds, took the dog because I needed moral support, and then went out down into this secluded ravine because I didn't want anybody to see me. I was terrified of being
Right.
laughed at, even though I live in this neighborhood where during the daytime nobody's home, but I was a little not well. And we jogged for 60 seconds, and it went really well. And so I just started following this interval training plan, and pretty quickly people noticed. It didn't take too long for me to lose a little bit of weight, but what they noticed was the change in my mood. People will ask me things like, "Did you cut your hair?" or "Did you? What's different?"
They're just trying to figure something.
Yeah, that was just
out.
something. Yeah, and so that made me want to continue. I didn't even tell my husband for a while, and then eventually I made the mistake of telling my sister. And her daughter was one of the people that had died in 2007. Her daughter was 24 and she died of cancer. Jamie, right? Yes, Jamie Axe. And so when I told my sister, she said, "Oh, there's this 5K for research. They raise money for research for the type of cancer that Jamie died of." And I totally self-centered and full of myself, said, "Oh no! I am a private runner. I don't run in public. I was barely running out of the ravine in my neighborhood." And eventually, I got over myself and did that first 5K, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it's kind of a party atmosphere, but the thing that was most amazing were all the different people. I mean, all sizes, all shapes, all ages, all kinds of gear. Not everybody had the fancy clothes. It was just this whole world that I didn't know anything about. And so time went on, and eventually I started running longer distances, and now I've run 3 full marathons, 28 half marathons, and more than 100 shorter races, and I'm trying to do a half in each of the 50 states. I got up to 18, and then I got the book contract, which is fantastic.
Congratulations!
Thank you. And so I'm hoping to do Asheville to check off North Carolina next year, so back on the track. But the biggest thing that happened with the book was
you said something in the book that before you did that first 5K, it was almost like a switch flipped in your mind that you said, well, who cares if they laugh at me? Who cares if I finish last? And what allowed you to make that decision? What allowed you to flip that switch?
I had joined an online group because I was still afraid to kind of be real. So with online, there's that buffer.
Yeah.
So I didn't join a local group for a long time. And those people kept talking about coming in last and all these races and all, they would post their times, which were around my time, sometimes slower, sometimes faster. And I just kept thinking, if they can do this, I can. So it was really other people. And being willing to notice that these things were benefiting them and wanting that same thing for myself, and then just kind of getting over myself. That was it. But it was very gradual. It was very gradual.
Yeah.
It feels like a switch flipped, but I think it takes a long time, for that momentum.
Kind of like a light slowly dimming on. Right?
Yeah. Well, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, the light's on, and you didn't even realize it's been coming on for a long time. Yeah.
Right.
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
So what made you decide to lace up that first time? There was some moment. There was a decision that was made, and can you talk about that moment?
People ask me that all the time, and I've actually been asked that in other contexts where, how did you change? How did you start? And it's just a buildup of energy. And it's almost like something you can't give to somebody else. For me, I looked out the window and I saw the crocuses coming up. It was March. And the other thing are snowdrops. So those are the two flowers that I usually see first in Central Ohio. And I looked out the window and I saw those, and I had been following my friend who'd been doing this for a while, and I just wanted something to be different. And I had no idea if this would work. I just kind of thought, what do I have to lose? I'm stuck here on this sofa. I'm so much heavier than I have been in a very long time. I am so depressed. I had to get to a place where it was more terrifying to stay on the sofa and in that funk. That pain had to be greater than my fear of going out there and failing. Mm-hmm. And also, they were tiny steps, and we're talking 60 seconds of running.
You had pretty low expectation, right?
Very low.
I only
almost
have
no
to do this. But breaking, that's just like any goal, right? Breaking things down, it really works. And that's something that did stick out to me in the book, was that you had your kitchen timer. Yeah. I was imagining one of the wind-up ones.
No. It was digital, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, funny. So, as you're going through this running quest, I'll call it, and you do a 5K, and then you think, I want to do something else. You're continually striving for more. Doctors had told you not to run, right? You have, just anybody that runs or does anything physical or mental in life. There's always roadblocks. Life always throws down some sort of gauntlet, and you either over around it or through it, or
you stop.
Right. So, your ankle was just one of those roadblocks that you hit, right? And your doctor, several doctors specifically told you not to run,
right?
But you overcame that. I was impressed by that. All the different ways. You seem like you're a pretty resourceful person.
Yeah, there's other words for it. But compulsive, maybe. Yeah, I had a couple things going on. While these physical doctors, most of whom I rarely ever saw, and the one doctor especially, I saw one time for 10 minutes. He'd never seen me before in his life. Those doctors were the ones that were telling me if I kept running, I was going to do permanent damage. The one doctor wanted to fuse my ankle. But my mental health doctors, both of whom exercise a lot, had seen the emotional benefits. They my therapist and my psychiatrist had seen me pull out of a depression, still chronically depressed, but pull up emotionally. And I'm not sure if we reduced my meds yet then, but over time they would eventually reduce my meds to now where I'm just like on one, where I was on bunches. So I tried to find a way that I could do it that was manageable. And I did a lot of research about form, about gear, shoes, and mostly cadence, mostly the physical way that you run. This is so weird, and I have no science for this. I have another friend who's an ultra runner who says this, but but it's almost as if by acclimating my ankle to what I was doing to it, by just gradually running longer and longer distances, it got used to it. I mean, I know that's weird. It's never going to flex that way, but it's not swelling up. It doesn't hurt. It's not doing any of the things that it did at first.
Body's amazing.
They are, yeah. And so, and then the other thing that my mental health providers they didn't, they would never tell me, do anything that's dangerous for you. But we talked about it in terms of the same things we think about with side effects from medication. Because most medication that you take has side effects
100%.
that will possibly shorten your life. But it will keep you alive for a period of time when you might have otherwise been dead. And that's the way we thought about a lot of the medications I was on. And so we sort of looked at running that same way. All right, let's think of this as a med. The side effect is that there could be long-term damage to your ankle. We don't know that, but that is a possibility. But look at what it's doing for you now. When the depression would rise up, I would think about all those other people doing it, or I think about checking off the thing. I just have to do the thing, and again, chunking it down into these little manageable goals. Let's say there were 5 miles on the schedule. I'd get up in the morning and think, I just can't do that. And so I would say, just put on your clothes. Just put on your clothes. Don't even leave the house. Just put on your clothes. And then I'd have my clothes on, and I'd say, okay, let's just go outside. And usually by then the dog was circling.
Right.
If I put my shoes
so then it wasn't
on,
about you. Then.
Yeah. And so he had to get his exercise. So then I'm okay. I'll just take him out for a mile. We'll just go for a mile. And once I got going, that was better. But then the other thing that wasn't really related to that was I had an experience with panic attacks. I still had panic attacks during the time the book covers, but my experience with them was anytime I didn't face whatever I was afraid of, it would get bigger. And so I do have agoraphobia, and sometimes I still have trouble leaving the house, but I know that when I don't, then it just gets worse, and pretty soon it's like I can't leave the living room, or I can't leave. You have to. And it's I did this thing with I had a thing for a while. The thing about mental issues is that they morph. So they'll be this way, and then you'll think you've figured it out, and then it'll pop up over here. It's like whack-a-mole, kind of better. But I still have chronic depression, and it will always be. It's like having diabetes. It doesn't really go away. I just have the programming in my brain that's always going to have.
Managed.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, but it's so much better.
In reading your book, it seems like the two biggest things, and correct me if I'm wrong, to help your mental illness was the running and the physical activity and meditation. Do you still?
Oh yes, yeah. So I began meditating when I first met my husband. He had been a meditator, and he kind of said, "You want to meditate?" And I had sort of played around with it, but I didn't really know what it was at all. So he set the microwave timer for 5 minutes, and he basically said, sit in the chair and try to sit as still as you can, and if you can focus on your breath, that's great, but just try to sit still.
Yeah.
So don't fidget for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it seemed like an hour.
Yeah.
But and I found that it helped with concentration, calm, thinking, all those kinds of things. And so over the years, I've been to lots of retreats, and I do the practice that I prefer is called what people call mindfulness, but it's based on the Vipassana, would be the Buddhist. It's that, if you want a lingo for it, but it's mindfulness. So it's just being completely present in thoughts and body sensations, not thinking about it, but actually observing it in real time. So meditation has really helped a lot.
It helps in my running as well. I did a race. I did a 50K last fall.
Oh, you did,
and,
yay. That's my next
I was
goal.
Training, and I never wear headphones or anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And people ask me, well, how can you not wear headphones? I go, well, that's my time. It's my most creative time. I've come up with all these ideas. Hopefully I can remember them by the time I get back.
Yes.
But yeah, I've gotten so much from meditation as well. And so exercise and meditation, would you say those are your best two I mean,
Yeah, the structure too. Any kind of structure. So from that little digital timer, and I learned that from meditation and also from writing practice, is using these very timed intervals so it's contained. Almost creates like a little pressure cooker effect. So I'm only going to do this for X number of minutes. I'm only going to do this for 1 mile. I'm like, so it's very finite. The peer support, positive peer pressure. People who, when I said like tonight we're going to run and I don't show up, somebody's going to go, where are you?
Right.
I'm going to get tagged on Facebook. Hey, Nita, are you coming?
Right.
That kind of thing. So that support, and then I think those 3 things probably the structure, and then the positive, whatever the physical thing is going on with exercise, just breaking a sweat. And the structure, and then the group support. Those are the big. I said those are the 3. And with structure, I include meditation because that's another
structure.
Kind of structure for me.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
if somebody is out there, I know a lot of people are silently suffering from depression, right? And
there's an epidemic actually.
Yeah, and I mean modern life is a lot different than we're adapted for. But it sounds like certainly talking to professionals as appropriate, but exercise, meditation, adding some positive social accountability, and just any sort of structure.
Yeah, that's what helps me.
Yeah.
Now, again, I also study personality types, and so I know that I am just one type of personality. So I'm very big on saying that I don't know if what works for me will work for you, but I encourage you to just try things and just try something. And that's the kind of, you asked me about how to get off the couch. That's how you get off the couch, is you just try anything. But you try it in a tiny, tiny dose so that you don't freak yourself out.
Yeah.
Because that's unless you're the kind of person that prefers to jump into the deep end in order to get wet, which I'm not. I'm a wader.
You did the same thing though. There's the try again type of thing with figuring out your ankle. I mean, did the I never know how to say it. Egoscue.
Egoscue, yeah.
Yeah.
It's spelled like ego skew, but it's
actually
I
never knew how to. I had only read it.
The ankle came up. I went deeper into egoscue to try to find something that might help with that too. So
sure. Josh Dillinger, if you're watching this, Egoscue method, back trouble. EGOSCUE.
It's on YouTube.
Dear
There's
friend
books at the library too.
Suffers from severe back pain, and he'll be down. Sorry to air your dirty laundry. He'll be down for a few days.
He's not alone. It is. So many people. I mean, part of it is we hold so much tension just because of the way we sit. Most of us sit all day, and that part of the body, the low back, is pivotal for everything.
Yeah.
Everything you do. That's like the middle point. So, why not? And then there's another book, which I don't know if I mentioned it in Depression Hates a Moving Target, but Dr. Sarno, Sarno.
Okay.
And his philosophy is that a lot of the pain we feel in our backs, especially body pain in general, but especially back pain, has a large emotional component. So it's stress related, and it's we could be holding anger or resentment, or we could be holding fear, we could be holding frustration, unfulfilled dreams, all those kinds of things that we hold that in our muscles. So it's so much more related, brain and heart and body, almost so much more related than Western medicine can necessarily comprehend. Now, Dr. Sarno is a MD.
Western medicine's great at trauma.
Yeah.
But they're terrible at
maintenance.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So I read that book at the same time as I started doing the Egoscue, and it just helped me realize most of the time the pain I have is not going to paralyze me. It's uncomfortable, but it's not. And that was the same thing with my ankle, is I really did not believe that I was going to permanently injure myself. If I had, I would have stopped running. But there was just this part of me that was just not quite buying that. And it was, I was getting great benefit from it, from running. And so when I read Dr. Sarno's book about, kind of mind-body connection, I started thinking, okay, so this is not going to kill me to be in this pain. And so I kept doing things, whereas before I would have just been in bed because I was kind of afraid I was going to injure myself further. But the idea is that unless you've torn a ligament or a muscle or broken a bone or done something really, really traumatic, these bulging discs and these various things that Dr. Mike's diagnose you with aren't necessarily going to paralyze you, or you're not necessarily going to make them worse by walking or moving around. And so he says that a lot of what happens is that the fear of injuring ourselves further causes us to just
tighter.
Yeah, and that just makes everything worse.
Yeah.
And then also he says that there's this emotional component. So
interesting.
Yeah. So there's a whole different. I don't think I went into that too much in.
No, I don't remember the name Sarno.
Yeah.
So. Well, thank you so much for.
This has been great. Thank you.
With me, and it's nice to be. Always nice to meet people in person.
Too.
Absolutely.
I feel like I want to interview you now. So.
No. So
let me do my final plug.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've talked a lot about the book, and I really, really love it when people buy the book, and it's available wherever fine books are sold. But if you go to my website, nitasweeney.com, there's an About the Book page, and all the book links are there. So it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Indie Books, pretty much any place you can get it. It's Depression Hates a Moving Target. How running with my dog brought me back from the brink.
It was great for me to the Audible option. I mean, we're all sitting in our cars.
Yeah.
I drive around my job, around the city a lot. So it's just,
Right.
I've got 20 minutes. I'm gonna listen to this at 1.5 speed. And,
That's great. That's great.
So great. It was a great book, though. I mean, for runners and non-runners alike, I think there's a lot of inspiration of your overcoming and persevering through all that muck.
Yes, thank you. That was the plan. So it's very, very rewarding to hear people say that it's helping.
I think it is.
This makes me so happy.
It is. Well, thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks.